Well, coming up, will the NBL introduce in-season trades? And Izzy Bourne joins us from the Lightning.
We're talking Jordan Poole. Seriously, who would trade for him? John Casey and I are going to mark every single NBL team, and there's a few Fs flying around.
They go hard too. Check it out.
This is The Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
We're going to kick things off with the NBA and talk about the conference tables briefly. Top of the West at the moment is the Timberwolves. Big win over Director Dave's Knicks yesterday.
My T-Wolves. Anthony Edwards, how good.
He's been excellent. What have you liked about what you've seen, and are there any surprises at the top there?
Well, I think everybody writes off the Nuggets, even though they've won a championship. It's almost like they've forgot about it a little bit. Don't you reckon?
No, what?
I think they do. I think people go, oh, they want the shiny new toy, Phoenix, and all these other things. Steph's going to still win, and they forget about them with it. I guess because they got a European superstar, but without Jamal Murray to be 9-4, they've done really well. But Anthony Edwards, he's really taken his form from the World Cup. This young star that just has so much enthusiasm. I'm not sure they're going to win it, but I think they're going to compete for a long way.
Very impressive at this point. The Thunder as well are third, 5 wins on the trot. And Josh Giddey, perhaps there was a little bit of criticism around him a few weeks ago, and he's put his foot down since. I'm
not sure it's criticism, but more just looking at speculation about whether he could potentially get traded. There was some story come out, but we know he's a talent no matter where he's playing. He's a talent. He's going to continue to grow, and they've got a good team.
Top of the East, less surprises there. Celtics, 76ers, Bucks. What stands out?
Well, we liked Boston from the start. They had such a great team. They're always going to be really good, and they've been able to prove it. I just like their balance. They know who their superstars are. You know, Tatum's had some big games, but then other games where he's been prepared just to be able to sit back as well. Holiday's the perfect superstar to play with those guys because he's not in a rush to score. He's okay if he can get 6 or 8 points, but he'll have his 6 rebounds and 5 assists, and other games he'll be a little bit more aggressive, but he's more content. So I think he's the perfect fit that allows Tatum and Brown to do what they do.
Quality defensive backcourt as well with him and White.
White's been great too.
Exactly right. Let's talk Jordan Poole. Reports out of DC is that the Wizards are potentially going to look to move him on as part of a significant trade rather than keep him as a franchise guy. He wanted to be that guy, having been a role player with the Warriors.
He's telling everybody that he's that guy.
It hasn't quite gone to plan.
He keeps saying, this is my team. You probably saw the highlights on social media of him in the timeout, just with no interest whatsoever. I can see why Draymond Green punched him. No, I can. Can you imagine this sort of attitude behind the scenes, when he was at Golden State? That is why Draymond Green wanted to strangle him, and he's the sort of guy that will just come out and do that. Surely no one wants him. He's not like you say, yeah, we're going to trade him. Who wants that?
I think you forget, I forget, he's still young. He's 24. He has a long career ahead of him, so long as you say, maybe he can get the mental right and whatnot.
No winning team wants that. Nah.
5.
Time for our favourite segment, Hammer Hoops Highlights, thanks to Boost Mobile.
How's this from Mello? Goes one way, comes back the other, crosses him over with a left hand with a beautiful kiss off the glass.
He has been balling recently.
4.
I love this. The Slob Wizard strikes again.
Somebody finds Holmgren, the turnaround shot to tie it, and Chet Holmgren with the 3 at the buzzer.
Chet with the 3. But it's our man Josh Giddey with the decision making on the sideline out of bounds.
3.
Strus is there and ready to shoot. Rattles out. Mobley got his hands on it. Tried to save it. Does. Strus in the basket. Oh,
that is nasty. Hammer, why did Miami get rid of him?
I have no idea, but that's how you finish.
Whew.
2.
Number 2, heading over to Spain for this one. How is this from Andres Feliz?
All the way from Badalona. How do you like that?
And for the win as well. Have you ever done that?
Not from that distance, I don't think.
I was courtside for this one, Hammer. What a moment.
For the win, it's Jack McVeigh. The trigger on the three with the clock in the background. Tasmania have marched into Cairns.
And he absolutely loved it. Those are your Hoops highlights, thanks to Boost Mobile.
Jack McVeigh's the hero.
Yes, Matty Logue is in, as he is every week for the Logue Down. Matty, good to see you. New Zealand basketball are set to announce a mid-season trade. This is really interesting. Cool. Talk to me.
Yeah, so they're looking for the 2024 season, bringing a trade window on the proviso that the player agrees to the trade. Now, I'm told from NBL types that they'll watch this closely as a bit of a test case to see how it goes, because there's been a push for a long time to have a trade window in the NBL.
Forever.
It would add so many layers from a news point of view, so many stories. In fact, in all the papers across the country, we're doing a mock trade scenario in the NBL. So, like, for example, like Aaron Baines could go to Adelaide. They need a big man, and then Mitch McCarron could go to the Bullets, or even there's a number of players like Angus Glover at the Kings. He's sitting on the bench. He's already won 2 championships. He's a starter. Like, let him go and be a starter. So go somewhere else and play, and you swap it over, But anyway, it's all hypothetical. But at the end of the day, Shane, there is some blowback. There's some blowback from that claiming that the NBL is not ready for it.
Why is it not ready? For me, I've heard it's more the Players Association saying maybe that the players don't want to have... Well, they get the final choice. You go to Corey Webster right now and say, hey, mate, there's a team that wants you. You're sitting on the bench, you're stale. They want to be able to reinvigorate what you do. Of course he would want to trade. As long as the player gets the right to be able to say, no, I don't want to move, then everything's good. There's only upside for both the club and the players to be able to make this happen as long as the player gets the last right.
The Hawks, let's move on. They're 1-for-1 under interim coach Justin Tatum. What's the latest on their search for a new boss?
Yes, my understanding is they've told interested coaches, including Judd Flavel, that just cool your heels. We're going to give Justin his due process to turn this around. So this could end up being, like we said last week, for the remainder of the season, potentially. They had a win last week, but as we've seen, like teams, when they sack a coach, the following week, players usually respond. Let's see how it goes the next couple of weeks. So these are pretty of a rough, draw. But the other layer to this is we've got an exclusive with Jacob Chakomis. He was pretty classy. You give him a lot of credit. Like he said, there's no bad blood with the Hawks. He said, ideally they could have given me more time to turn this around, but realistically too, he gets it's a business, and the results were record low. But he's vowed that his career is not over. His coaching career is not over. He's moving back to Sydney. I don't know what you guys think, particularly, Shane, it's going to be tough to get another head coaching gig, but he's got those runs on the board now. It was a tough situation in Illawarra. You've got to give him some credit.
He's a lifer for basketball.
Agree.
He's going to be able to contribute. It doesn't matter. I know he was doing some coaching at associations and schools and everything else. He's somebody that can add a lot to any program. High-level assistant coach. I don't think he'll get another NBL head coaching job, but he'll help somewhere. He's a classy guy, great guy.
Adelaide Lightning's Izzy Bourne is joining us from South Australia. Izzy, so great to have you on the show.
What about some of the stars you're playing against? Lauren Jackson, obviously, you would have seen for a long, long time, since before you were born. Who are some of the better players you've played against and enjoyed that?
Yeah, well, obviously LJ was really, really a big one for me that I wanted to focus on, watching her and growing up watching her, and then having to, defend her was one of the coolest experiences I think I'll have in my basketball career for sure. But then, Perth Lynx, having to box out Annalie all game is tiring and it's difficult. So there's a lot of different matchups for me in different teams, to play against big or maybe small rebounders. So being able to be versatile and play against different people is really good for me.
Big game against Townsville coming up as well. They're the league leaders. They won last year. What do you expect there, and what are you going to have to do to get that W?
I think we're going to have to be locked in for 40 minutes. We've had some ups and downs in the last couple of games, and just being able to really play defense for 40 minutes, I think, is going to win us games throughout this whole season. I think, offense, we play quick, and I think we shoot great shots. Sometimes they don't drop, but I think, just like the last game, defense is going to win us games for sure.
Well, time now to welcome in Australian basketball guru John Casey to talk all things NBL. Case, great to have you on. What about Adelaide? They enter the break on a little bit of a high coming off of that come-from-behind win over the Phoenix, but their season hasn't been great.
They've been terrible as well. And yes, they beat the Phoenix, but they came from 17 down at quarter time. They're not going to do that every week. And right now, 4-7 on the ladder. So they're 8. This time last year, they were 6. They were 5-5. They won 13 games last season. They're not going to win 13 games this season. They're 1 win off the bottom of the ladder. It's been poor.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you as well. The ladder and their results suggest that. And, you know, this is CJ's 3rd year in charge. The first year is Jeff Van Groningen picking the team. The next year he got a chance to be able to pick what he wanted. And if it wasn't for DJ Vasiljevic, they might be on the bottom of the ladder by far. So they've really struggled. You can't see where they're going. You can't see what direction or what their strategy is moving forward. And as good as DJ's been with the amount of points he's averaging, just bad year so far.
Dare I even ask what you've given Adelaide then?
It's not good.
D.
D and an E, alrighty. Cairns guys, they are yet to play with their full squad at full fitness. Case, where have you got them?
Look, that happened to them 2 seasons ago as well, and they're able to be a little bit better than they are at the moment. I think they've got problems. They're 7th on the ladder, 4-6. This time last year, they were 7-4 and 3rd and went on to win 18 games. So they've got a lot of ground to recover. No sympathy. Yes, they had the travel. Yes, they've had injuries. Everyone's had injuries, as I say. They need to be better. You've got to score more than 10 points in a quarter.
They do, Case, and I think they made their own bed with the decision of wanting to go and play against the NBA team. So when you want to go and do that, and there's a lot of positives that we've spoken about doing that for the NBL and the individual players, but then on the backside of it, you can't have as much sympathy when you get home and you've got tough schedules as well. A lot of problems. I think they could come good as the season goes on. So I've got a C+ for them, guys.
Yeah, well, I think they can improve as well, Hammer, but I'm giving them a D because they should be better than where they are at the moment.
What about the Bullets? It feels like a whole lot has changed there in terms of the culture. There are some promising signs, but they just haven't been able to execute at the end of games, Case.
I'm glad you asked, Joe, because finally I can say something positive. Brisbane 6th on the ladder, 5-7. They've been impressive. This time last year, they were 9th. They were 3-7. They only won 8 games all season last year. To be 5-7 and a rookie coach, so much excitement about them. Still room for improvement. They're running the Australian guys. I really think that they've done an excellent job here. To me, they've been one of the great improvers this season.
Well, I agree with that too, Case, and I don't think they're a team that has a chance to win it, and potentially they don't even make the playoffs. But I think what Justin Schuler's come in, they've taken an underachieving franchise that hasn't made the playoffs forever. They've recruited with a strategy of guys that can come in and play a role. Australian guys like Norton and McDaniel that have been really valuable for them. I don't see them with the same sort of talent as some of the other top teams in the league, but you see what his strategy is and the culture that they're building. Baines was out 5 games, and I think they're on the right track. So for me, B-.
If I could give a B+, I would, but I'm not doing plus or minus. I'm giving them a B, and Hammer, they are playing finals.
Yeah, right. I had them a C+ actually, but there you go. Southeast Melbourne guys, they should be a lot higher, let's say, than what they are at the moment. They've lost 3 of their last 4. What's your assessment, Case?
6-6 at the moment, 5th on the ladder. This time last year, they were 7-5 and 4th. They've got a better roster this year. I think they've underperformed. They finished 5th last season, won 15 games. I think you're right, Joe. They should be better than where they are. They've let games slip. How did they lose that game here in Adelaide, leading by 18 in the 3rd quarter? I don't know. And they've had opportunities to beat Melbourne United and couldn't get across the line. So they are okay, but they should be better than they are.
There's no doubt about that. And if you look at their roster, they've potentially got the best 4 players as far as a combination of talent goes, with their great guards, the big Source in the middle who we know is dominating, but he has to be better as well. Too undisciplined, continually getting in foul trouble. He's so important. He needs to be more professional. They got Creek there as well, and a whole lot of good role players. They should be far better. They're not. I'm not calling them fool's gold at the moment, but I fell in love with them early. Thought they could be much better, but that game they lost to Melbourne United with so many players out of United, they still couldn't get that done. has worrying signs for me. I think they should be much better.
What have you got, guys? C+. Case, what's yours?
That's a C.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.